So I've been learning German for 10 years. Let me repeat that. I've been learning German for 10 years. It's only because I've spent this amount of time have I gotten to a place where I feel comfortable with my pronunciation and my speaking and my understanding. It's taken me 10 years, 2 exchanges and a bachelor's degree for me to get where I am in this point of fluency. So don't be disheartened if you're not fluent after 6 months like everyone else told me I would be. I started learning German when I was in year 4 or 5 and I was about 10. Mostly because it was the only language I had to choose from at school. I went to a school in an area that was settled by German immigrants, so for a long time that's all we learned. But then when I got to high school I got the choice between Chinese and German. Naturally I picked German and that had the fun little side effect of leading me to my first exchange. I was paired with this lovely girl called Maya, who we're still friends with even to this day, and she came and stayed with my family for 3 months. When I was in year 11. I then went and stayed with her family for 3 months in Hamburg over the break between year 11 and 12. My German improved tenfold while I was over there, obviously, but I was still only at a year 12 level. So once I finished high school and I went on to university, I knew the one thing that I wanted to continue on with was German. And that was the only thing I knew I wanted to get out of university at that point. So I picked a major in German, and in my second semester of my second year, I headed off to Stuttgart for my exchange semester, which you've all seen and loved. My German when I got there was at a B1, B2 level. They recommend that you have at least an A1 level of German before you go on an exchange to Germany, especially to a German university. I definitely had enough to get by, but it was definitely important to understand some of the more common phrases being thrown around before you actually got into your classes. So I have a few phrases for you, a few words that might be helpful to you in your exchange or in your everyday life if you're living in Germany and you don't speak the language. I really recommend, if you are not a STEM student, if you're an art student or any other student that's not a STEM student, to have at least a B1 level of German, because a lot of the humanities subjects they actually don't teach in English like they do the STEM subjects, which was a bit of a bummer, but it just made my German all the more better. So without further ado, let's get into some of the vocab. I'm going to grab my laptop because it's all written down here. Alright, so let's start with some of the basics that people say every day. So you know hallo means hello, but in different parts of the country they say hello in a different way. So in the north they'll say moin, and in the south they'll say servus, like hello, like I'm at your service, which is really quite lovely. If you want to say I'll see you soon, bis gleich. If you'd like to say absolutely, auf jeden Fall. Hä means like the German way of saying ha, what? Naja is like, it's like one of those words that you sprinkle in to sound a bit more German. Naja, so habe ich das gemacht. Like, it's like sort of like an aha sort of thing. Nö or ne are just variations on the word nein. Achtung, the Germans like to say a lot, means pay attention or like be careful. Achtung bitte. Geil has 2 different meanings. It has like, if something's cool, you can say it's geil, or there is a different meaning that is a little bit more not safe for work that I will put up on the screen. Doch. Doch is a really interesting word because it doesn't really have a meaning. So with doch, you could say, it's like disagreeing, like affirmative. It's really hard to explain. But, for example, you could say, du warst nicht in der Klasse heute, ich habe dich nicht gesehen. And you would respond, doch, ich war in der Klasse, ich war nur spät. So it's something that you can like disagree with. It doesn't really have a certain meaning. Some phrases that were very helpful to me. Ich verstehe nur Bahnhof means I only understand train station, but literally, but it actually means I don't understand much German, which is very helpful if you don't understand much German. Ich verstehe nur Bahnhof. Rechts stehen, links gehen is the rules for the escalators. You stand on the right and you walk on the left. I wish I used the right hands for that. But in Germany there are there are social rules about where you stand on an escalator, because people will sometimes want to walk up the escalator, but if you just want to stand, you've got to stand on the right. Ich drücke mir die Daumen. It means I'll cross my fingers for you, but literally it means I'll press my thumbs for you. It means like good luck, I'm wishing you luck. Some more like exchange student university type vocab that would be helpful to you include exchange student, Austauschstudent or Austauschstudenten. It depends on your gender. A share house is a WG or a Wohngemeinschaft. Most people just call it a WG. University, Universität. To study is studieren, conjugated ich studiere, du studierst. But you don't say it in the way that you think you'd say it. So studieren means like I am studying like this degree, rather than I'm studying tonight. If you wanted to say I'm studying tonight, you'd be saying ich lerne heute, or ich mache meine Hausaufgaben heute Nacht. But if you wanted to use study in a sentence, you'd say ich studiere Deutsch seit 3 Jahren und dieses Jahr werde ich meine Bachelorarbeit machen. Written exam is a Klausur. That's what you write at the end of your courses. An oral exam is a mündliche Prüfung. An essay is a Hausarbeit. All of these are different kinds of final tests or exams that you can have to write or take when you're going to a German university. A paper presented in a seminar is a Referat. Normally that's just for credit, like it's just for participation. So you have to be at all the classes and you have to do the Referat. It doesn't relate to your final grade, but if you don't do it, you will fail. Some vocab for when you are trying to settle in includes Visa is a Visum. To apply is beantragen. Health insurance, which is something you need to have, is Gesundheitsversicherung. I'd like to open a bank account translates to ich möchte ein Bankkonto eröffnen. And some useful phrases that I found popping up pretty regularly while I was over there include woher kommst du? Where are you from? Noch mal bitte means can you repeat that again? Und ich spreche nur ein bisschen Deutsch, which is the same as ich verstehe nur Bahnhof. I only speak a little bit of German. There we go. I'll be right back. So for the longest time while I was on exchange, I felt like my German wasn't improving. I saw my exchange family from my first exchange at the beginning and then again at the very end, and that helped me to learn that actually I was improving. But in the meantime, it was very difficult to know whether I was actually building on the skills that I wanted to. I did do the German intensive course at the beginning of my exchange the University of Stuttgart offers, and while that did help quite a lot in getting my brain into the right German mode, it was a huge leap to go from studying German in German to studying politics in German and all of this other stuff that I had to do for my degree. Funnily enough though, drinking helped. I am 21. I was 20 when I went on exchange. The legal age in Germany is 16 for beer and wine and 18 for spirits, so just keep that in mind. But whenever I drank a little bit, I always felt like I was more fluent, and still do feel that way when I'm a little bit more tipsy. There's science behind it. It loosens your inhibitions enough to speak without having that fear in the back of your mind that you're going to mess up, and you just speak without fear really, and it's a bit beautiful. No, it's not beautiful. It's very helpful at the beginning when you're trying to feel more confident speaking to have a drink or two in the evening with your friends if you want to speak German and speak German to them like that. So the real turning point for me was when I had to write a Referat for my history class. We were doing a topic on the French Revolution, and I had to give a presentation on the French Revolution and on this British politician called Edmund Burke, and I had to do it in German. I gave the presentation in German. I had a little bit of trouble with the vocab, but I found my feet eventually, and by the end of it, my teacher actually congratulated me because he said it was a very difficult topic to approach even in your native tongue, and the fact that I've attempted it in a foreign language made it all the more impressive. So that was a really big turning point for me, in that I felt much more confident in my abilities after the fact that I'd done that presentation. If I hadn't have done that presentation, it wouldn't have forced me to improve the way it did, and I wouldn't have passed the class. Like, simple as that. It also boosted my confidence immensely. While I was away, I also did things to help me with my comprehension and my listening and my pronunciation. I would watch English movies with German dubbing and German subtitles, movies that I already knew really well, so I already had a base knowledge and could figure out what the translation was from just watching them. The dubbing was good for my listening comprehension, and the subtitles were really good. The German subtitles, I have to stress, not the English ones, were really good for if the voice actor was saying something not quite as clear as you'd like, you could just read along on the bottom. It's a really good tip if you're sort of in the same boat, if you're in the B1, B2 level and you want to really improve your German. I also read books in German, or at least I tried to, and it helped quite a lot to see my progress. I'm about halfway through this book that I bought over there. It's called Ein Winter in Wien, and it's quite simply written in the fact that it's an easy read, but it is actually a book meant for adults instead of a kid's book, which boosted my confidence immensely. So my intensive course language teacher would also make us learn and sing new songs at the end of every lesson, so that we could improve our pronunciation, and it worked. My pronunciation improved tenfold throughout just the course. German-made movies and TV shows are also very helpful if you want to understand more of the culture behind the language you're speaking. Some of my favourites include Any Movie from Bibi and Tina, Fuck You Goethe, Goodbye Lenin, and Babylon Berlin. After my exchange, I've spent the last year completing my German major, and now I'm only a few courses away from getting my degrees in political science and in German. But my journey to fluency is going to be so much different to yours. And the funny thing is that fluency comes and goes. I was at the best point that I'd ever been while I was over there, but now after a year and a bit not speaking German every day, only doing it for my classes, it's deteriorated a little bit, and that's something you have to work on every day. So there's not one catch-all path to learning a language. But if you do want to learn a language, and if you do want to learn German, just know that it's going to be a long road ahead to get to that point where you can have a conversation with locals and you can feel confident in what you're saying. But it is definitely worth it. Learning a language, at least for me, has offered me some of the biggest and most exciting adventures of my life. That's all I really have for you guys today. Mostly because, as the Germans say, alles hat ein Ende, nur die Wurst hat zwei. Let me know if you'd like to see more of this sort of stuff, German vocab and grammar and whatnot. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you all next time. Tschüss!